You don't have to raise your voice to dominate a room. You don't have to swing your fist to command fear. The strongest men, the ones who are truly respected and feared, move in silence, speak only when necessary, and carry an invisible weight that bends the atmosphere around them without uttering a single word. The weak seek attention. The powerful make attention inevitable. You see, in a world obsessed with noise, the rarest and most terrifying power is self-mastery. The man who does not beg for recognition, who does not spill his emotions to prove his worth, who does not broadcast his insecurities dressed up as bravado, he becomes something different, something primal. People feel his presence before he speaks. They adjust their behavior instinctively without even knowing why. They sense the depth they cannot manipulate, the strength they cannot conquer. This video is not about teaching you to fake it. It's not about shallow tricks to appear strong. It's about understanding the deeper truths, the brutal, timeless realities that govern real respect and real fear. It's about recognizing the silent weapons you already have within you and forging them into armor no insult can penetrate and no betrayal can shatter. Because the truth is, fear and respect are not demanded. They are drawn out from others the way the moon pulls the tide, silent, unstoppable, undeniable. And when you build yourself into the kind of man or woman who no longer needs the world's approval, you become a gravitational force in every room you enter. The following signs are not decorations to hang on your ego. They are symptoms of a deeper transformation, a reflection of internal battles fought in silence and won without witnesses. They are the invisible badges earned by mastering your emotions, your desires, your need for external validation. You don't seek respect. You don't chase admiration. You exist, and the world is forced to recalibrate itself around your existence. You are the storm that doesn't roar. You are the fire that doesn't flicker. You are the mountain that doesn't move. Before we dive deeper, stand where you are and claim this transformation. Subscribe to Victory Stoic, where strength is not just preached, but lived. Like this video if you are ready to stop seeking permission to be powerful and start embodying it without apology. Share it with someone who is still making noise hoping to be heard. Someone who needs to remember that true power whispers louder than any scream. And in the comments below, lay your first stone. Type, "I move in silence." Let it be your battle cry. Or if you have the courage, tell your story. The struggles, the silence, the moments you chose mastery over reaction. Thank you for choosing the road few dare to walk. Thank you for choosing to build a life so formidable that your very silence demands both fear and respect. Now let's uncover the signs that you are becoming the most dangerous, most untouchable version of yourself, and why the world, whether they admit it or not, already feels it. Number 1. You do not flaunt your achievements. Your aura announces them without a word. You have nothing to prove. You have no hunger for applause. The trophies, the victories, the silent wars you fought and won, they are etched into the marrow of your being, not into Instagram captions. Real strength, real success, does not scream for attention. It radiates, dense and quiet, like the heat from a forge. It alters the air around you without needing permission. When you walk into a room, people may not know your resume, your titles, your past glories, but they feel it. Something about the way you stand, the calm weight in your gaze, the lack of frantic energy in your movements. It tells them everything they need to know. This person has seen battle. This person has bled, lost, suffered, and did not collapse. This person carries victories no one had the privilege to witness. Psychology calls this nonverbal status projection. Studies show that individuals who have internalized their value carry themselves differently. Their body language is more relaxed, their movements more economical, their expressions steadier. They do not overcompensate. They do not clamor for validation. They are gravitational fields unto themselves, and others instinctively orbit around them. Stoicism teaches the same principle. Marcus Aurelius warned against becoming a man of many words and many deeds, merely to attract attention. He knew that true power is always silent first, spoken later, if at all. The man who must shout his achievements into the void is secretly terrified that he has none worth remembering. The man who carries his victories in silence needs no audience because he already owns the stage within himself. Consider Michael, a 42-year-old retired Navy SEAL from Texas. He never talked about his service. No dramatic war stories at bars, no shirts announcing his rank. You wouldn't know by looking at him that he had survived battles that would crush lesser men. But when he spoke, even briefly, when he listened, when he acted, you knew. You felt it like a hand pressing against your chest. Here was a man who had nothing left to prove to the world, and because of that, the world leaned toward him without understanding why. Your aura, the silent field of energy you emit, is built by 1,000 small choices stacked over time. Every time you refuse to explain yourself unnecessarily, every time you decline to boast about a win, every time you choose to listen more than you speak, every time you remember that character is louder than words, your aura becomes heavier, sharper, deeper. It grows not from what you say, but from what you have survived in silence. Practical weapon. Practice quiet victories. Win something today, no matter how small, and tell no one. Improve your body, your finances, your mind, and share nothing about it. Let your success steep inside you like iron cooling in a forge. Over months, over years, you will become a presence people respect before they even know why. Remember the warning of Seneca. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor. When you flaunt achievements, you reveal a poverty of spirit. When you walk with silent mastery, you reveal an abundance that needs no advertisement. The world is addicted to spectacle. Let them have their parades, their shouting matches, their hollow performances. You are building something different, something ancient, something terrifying. You do not announce your worth. You live it. You do not brandish your achievements like weapons. You become the weapon itself. And those with eyes to see, those with instincts honed enough to feel, they will recognize you without a single word spoken. They will know, here stands someone whose victories echo louder in silence than any scream could ever achieve. Number 2. When you walk into a room, the air changes before you even speak. You don't say a word. You don't slam doors or puff your chest. You just walk in and something subtle but unmistakable happens. Conversations slow down, trivial laughter dies off mid-sentence. People glance up, some look away. A few straighten their posture without realizing why. The temperature of the room shifts, not because you demanded it, but because your very being carries a weight that forces recalibration. This isn't magic. This isn't charisma in the cheap, performative sense. This is power. The kind of quiet, immovable power that the world is starving for, but secretly fears. You aren't loud because you don't need to be. Loudness is for those who fear being ignored. You are content to be felt rather than heard. Psychologists call this presence, a tangible force that highly self-possessed individuals exude without effort. Studies on nonverbal dominance show that posture, stillness, and micro-expressions project authority far more effectively than words. Real presence destabilizes superficiality. It exposes the insecurity of others simply by existing. Imagine a man like Jonathan, a 43-year-old veteran turned business consultant from Boston. Jonathan had no Instagram bravado, no flashy suits, no booming voice. He dressed simply. He moved deliberately. And when he entered a meeting, people unconsciously made room for him. Clients listened when he spoke, not because he demanded attention, but because he had conquered the need for it. His calmness unsettled the frantic energy of boardrooms used to peacocks and pretenders. Jonathan embodied what Epictetus taught 2,000 years ago. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Jonathan was a wall others crashed against, not a performer, a presence. When you command a room without speaking, it's because you carry something heavier than mere self-confidence. You carry ownership of your own mind. People can smell that from across a room. They may not be able to name it, but they react to it instinctively. Evolution trained humans to recognize hierarchy without needing a word spoken. In a pack of wolves, the alpha doesn't need to bare its teeth to be recognized. Its very calmness under pressure, its refusal to waste energy on posturing, marks it as the apex. You don't posture. You don't entertain triviality. You walk in with a kind of silent strength that reminds people of something ancient, something they forgot they respected in a world drunk on noise and fake smiles. The weak ones will try to laugh louder around you. They will brag more. They will fidget. They will feel the weight of your indifference, and not knowing how to lift it, they will expose their own need for validation. The smart ones, the strong ones, will grow quiet too, not out of fear, but out of recognition. They will recognize the real thing when they see it. Practical tip to embody this in daily life. Before you enter any room, be it a business meeting, a dinner party, or even a gym, center yourself. Pause. Take one full breath and set a simple intention. I am not here to impress. I am here to exist, fully and firmly. Walk slowly. Scan the room once. Speak only if you choose to, not because silence feels awkward. When you move, move deliberately, not frantically. Stillness is strength. Reactivity is weakness. Over time, this small practice rewires your body language, your energy, and your perception of control. You become an immovable object in a world of restless noise. People will feel it before they understand it. They will quiet themselves without knowing why. And if they are foolish enough to challenge it, they will exhaust themselves trying to disturb the calm you carry like a fortress on your back. Remember, loud men rule moments. Silent men rule legacies. Seneca once wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." The man who walks with silent authority wastes nothing, not his words, not his movements, not his presence. His very life becomes an economy of strength. You don't chase respect, you don't fight for fear, you exist, and the room bends around you. You are not an interruption to their noise. You are the silence that reveals how empty it was all along. Number 3. You refuse to engage in empty conversations, and your silence exposes the emptiness around you. You sit among them, but you are not of them. Their words fly around you like dust caught in a dying beam of light. Aimless, frantic, desperate for significance. They chatter about things that don't matter, inflate their small victories into grand epics, gossip about others to fill the unbearable silence between the collapse of their own convictions. They talk to hear themselves talk. They spill words the way a man wounded in battle spills blood, recklessly, hopelessly, fatally. And you say nothing. You do not despise them. You do not belittle them. You simply understand what they do not. That speech is sacred, and a mind too empty to honor silence is a mind too empty to deserve your energy. Your refusal is not arrogance. It is discipline. It is strength forged through years of learning that meaning is rare, that wisdom is precious, and that every word uttered carelessly is a betrayal of your own mind. Marcus Aurelius captured this with brutal simplicity. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. A good man does not fill the air with noise for the sake of being noticed. A good man builds meaning with the bricks of his own restraint. Modern psychology supports this ancient truth. Studies show that excessive talking often arises from anxiety, insecurity, and a desperate need for validation. People flood the air with words to cover the silence they fear will reveal their hollowness. Your silence, therefore, becomes a mirror, an unflinching, merciless mirror, held up to their faces. In your quiet, they see themselves, and many cannot stand the sight. They shift uncomfortably when you don't play along. They laugh a little louder. They exaggerate a little more. They try to bait you with gossip, with trivial boasts, with petty provocations. And each time you answer with nothing but a steady, unreadable gaze, they feel it deeper. The stark contrast between their noise and your gravity. The fear they cannot name begins to ferment inside them, turning to resentment, to awe, to uneasy respect. Think of Daniel, a 39-year-old security consultant from Atlanta. He would attend corporate gatherings filled with executives trading meaningless buzzwords like currency, while others clambered over each other, desperate to be heard. Daniel would sit back, arms folded, eyes cool, mouth shut. When he finally spoke, and he rarely did, the room would quiet, the empty phrases would evaporate, and the real power players would lean in. He was not trying to dominate the room. He was simply commanding it by refusing to waste breath. Practical tip. In any social gathering, commit to speaking only when your words add value. If what you are about to say does not clarify, build, or strengthen something real, remain silent. Let the noise swirl around you like a storm around a mountain. Be the mountain, unmoving, untouched. This is not coldness. This is not disdain. This is respect. For yourself, for the sacredness of speech, for the fleeting minutes of life you refuse to waste. And in doing so, you teach by presence alone. You remind others, without preaching, that conversation is meant to nourish, not to drown. Seneca warned, Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve. When you withdraw from meaningless talk, you are not just preserving your mind, you are elevating the very space you inhabit. You set a silent standard that forces others to rise or retreat. Those who are hollow will resent you for it. They will feel exposed, even if you never point a finger. They will paint you as cold, aloof, arrogant, because it is easier to blame your stillness than to confront their own emptiness. Let them. Their judgment is irrelevant. Your mission is not to make the broken comfortable. Your mission is to remain unbroken. And those rare few who recognize the depth behind your silence, they will seek you out. They will approach you carefully, thoughtfully, offering words that carry weight, questions that carry substance. With them, you will build alliances forged not in noise, but in respect, not in quantity, but in quality. You will find, as all true Stoics find, that life is too short for small talk and too sacred for hollow words. You do not speak because you fear to. You do not remain silent because you have nothing to say. You stay silent because you know that when you choose to speak, the earth should tremble a little. And when you choose to remain silent, it already does. Number 4. You do not seek validation from the crowd, and it makes them feel pathetically small. There they are, the desperate, the trembling, the hollow-hearted performers dancing for invisible applause. Watch them, scurrying about like circus dogs, barking tricks for treats, tail wagging furiously for even a crumb of attention. Every word they say, every shallow laugh they release into the stale air, every glittering, soulless selfie they post, it's a coin tossed into the well of other people's approval. And you stand there, silent, unmoved, unbought, and by your very existence, you expose the shrieking emptiness of it all. You are the living antithesis of their disease. While they auction off pieces of their soul for temporary likes, you walk through the marketplace of validation with your hands in your pockets, utterly uninterested. You don't dance for pennies. You don't adjust your truth to fit the fashions of the day. You don't contort your soul to match the desperate poses of the crowd, and it infuriates them in a way that no insult ever could. Marcus Aurelius captured it with savage clarity. The approval of others can never be a substitute for the approval of oneself. But modern man has forgotten this ancient law. He thinks himself free, yet lives shackled to the shifting winds of other people's opinions. He mistakes echoes for truth, applause for achievement, visibility for worth. Your refusal to participate in this grand, sad theater is a mirror shoved in their faces. They see your indifference and feel the unbearable weight of their own neediness. They realize, perhaps only for a moment, that they have built their identity on sand, and you are the storm that reminds them how easily it can be swept away. Take Robert, a 45-year-old fitness coach from Phoenix. His competitors were forever filming their workouts, flexing for followers, chasing the dopamine rush of a few more views. Robert trained in silence. He posted nothing. He didn't even bother decorating his gym with flashy slogans. And yet, when clients spoke about the best in town, his name surfaced again and again, spoken with the hushed respect reserved for those who don't sell themselves, but whose quality is undeniable. His silence was his signature. His lack of need became his greatest advertisement. Practical weapon. Starve your craving for approval until it dies screaming. Set goals no one else needs to know about. Achieve milestones without fanfare. Build victories you never even announce. If you succeed in silence long enough, you will reach a point where the opinions of the crowd become background noise, like the babbling of children in a distant room. The masses want you to need them, because if you don't, you remind them how unnecessary they are to a real life. Your indifference is not rudeness. It is a weapon so sharp that it cuts the delusions of everyone who stands near you. It forces them to confront the sick truth that needing validation is not living, it is begging. Seneca warned, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Most people suffer because they imagine the crowd's approval grants them worth. You suffer not at all because you do not imagine such foolishness. You build yourself in secret by your own laws under your own banner. Let them dance, let them beg, let them strut across the burning stage, mistaking attention for immortality. You will remain at the edges, untouched, unimpressed, eternal. Because you were never here to be seen, you were here to exist, and existence, true existence, needs no audience. Number 5. You are unafraid of solitude, and that makes you incredibly dangerous to the crowd. There is a terror few dare to speak about, an unspoken fear that echoes in the hollow hearts of the many, the fear of standing alone. Most people would rather rot among the herd than walk alone under the open sky. They cling to groups, to trends, to familiar lies, not out of conviction, but out of terror. Terror that if they were ever truly alone, they would have to face the unbearable weight of their own emptiness. You are different. You do not fear the silence of your own mind. You do not tremble when the crowd thins, when the parties end, when the nights stretch long and cold without false comfort. You sit with your own soul. You walk your own roads. You make your own fire, and you are not afraid when it burns only for you. And they feel it. They feel the terrible power in your independence. They sense that you are not bound by the invisible chains that shackle them to the opinions, fears, and insecurities of the masses. They know, without understanding how they know, that you cannot be manipulated with loneliness, because you have already befriended it. They cannot threaten you with exile when you built your home on the very edge of the world. Psychologists studying attachment theory have long noted that true emotional security is not found in constant social validation, but in the ability to remain whole without it. Those who master solitude master themselves. Those who fear solitude remain forever at the mercy of others. Marcus Aurelius, alone on the frontier of a crumbling empire, wrote, "Nowhere can a man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." He knew that the man who is enough for himself is the most dangerous being alive, because he needs nothing, because he fears nothing, because he bows to nothing. Consider Adam, a 38-year-old freelance journalist from Montana. After a brutal betrayal that stripped him of friends, reputation, and certainty, Adam withdrew, not in bitterness but in quiet reconstruction. He moved into a cabin an hour from the nearest town. No neighbors, no noise, just him, the land, and the echoes of his own mind. The people who once mocked him eventually fell silent because when Adam returned to civilization, he was unbreakable. He wrote books, built businesses, formed alliances, not out of desperation, but out of deliberate choice. His loneliness had forged a sovereignty that no praise, no betrayal, no abandonment could ever threaten again. Practical weapon: cultivate your solitude. Schedule days, yes, days without unnecessary social input. Turn off the noise, walk alone, eat alone, train alone, think alone. Let the initial discomfort consume you, because beyond that burning barrier lies a freedom few ever taste. When you master solitude, the world loses its grip on you. You will no longer hunger for shallow friendships or tolerable company just to fill the void. You will choose your alliances the way a warrior chooses his weapons, carefully, ruthlessly, without apology. Seneca said, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve." When you no longer fear being alone, you no longer tolerate those who diminish you just to feel less alone. Your standards rise, your circle shrinks, your strength multiplies. The crowd worships noise because it cannot survive silence. You thrive in silence because you have killed the need to be needed. They will whisper that you are cold, distant, strange. Let them. They fear what they cannot control. They fear what they cannot comprehend. They fear the man who can look at the vast, empty landscape of his own life and smile. You are not running from the world. You are building a fortress no world can breach. And from that fortress you will choose, not plead for, not beg for, the few worthy enough to walk beside you. You are not afraid to walk alone. And because of that, the world cannot cage you. It can only watch, in awe and in terror, as you walk freely where they will never dare to follow. Number 6. People ask permission, with their eyes before entering your space. You do not need to draw a line on the ground. You do not need to raise your hand, glare, or announce boundaries with sharp words. Your very existence carves a perimeter that most people will not dare to cross without hesitation. It is not conscious. It is not logical. It is primal. When you have built yourself with discipline, when your mind no longer leaks neediness, when your body carries the history of battles fought in silence, your aura becomes a shield that radiates out from you. It tells the world without speaking. You will approach with respect, or you will not approach at all. And the world listens. Biologists studying human social behavior have long noted the invisible cues that govern personal space. Dominance, self-respect, inner stillness, these project through microexpressions, posture, and even the subtle arrangement of your body in a room. People react to these signals instinctively, the way a deer reacts to the scent of a predator. They may not know why they hesitate before stepping closer. They may not understand why they glance at your face before speaking. But they feel it all the same. The unspoken demand for respect. Your space is no longer shared casually. It is earned. And that changes everything. Marcus Aurelius warned, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. When your thoughts are ordered, when your purpose is forged, when you no longer crave the approval of the meaningless, your very presence becomes an announcement. It says, I am not here for your entertainment. I am not here to be consumed. It challenges those who approach to rise to your level or retreat. Picture Nathan, a 40-year-old craftsman from Oregon. Nathan didn't wear designer suits, he didn't have an entourage. But when he entered a room, whether a job site or a coffee shop, people adjusted around him. Conversations lowered. Bodies shifted subtly out of his path. If someone needed to speak to him, they paused first, making eye contact, gauging the weight of the air between them, before daring to step into his orbit. Nathan never demanded this. He simply was, complete, solid, sovereign. This is the aura of a true man, not the overcompensation of loud gestures, not the faux confidence of arrogance, but a deep gravitational pull born from the mastery of self. You do not push people away. You do not puff yourself up. You simply exist so fully, so unapologetically, that people feel compelled to respect what they cannot diminish. Practical weapon: cultivate physical and mental posture every day. When you walk into a space, own your breathing. Slow it. Ground your feet. Roll your shoulders back slightly. Open your chest without tension. Do not fidget. Do not scan the room nervously. Stand or sit like you have nothing to prove and nothing to fear. Speak slowly, or not at all. Let silence do the heavy lifting. Those who mean no harm will approach carefully, with respect. Those who seek to challenge or consume will falter, hesitate, and often turn away. Not because you threatened them, but because you reminded them, without a word, that your soul is not common ground. Seneca once said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." Your presence, your aura, is proof you have faced adversity, absorbed it, transcended it. And now, without asking for permission, you command the respect that others are too hollow to demand for themselves. You are no longer merely occupying space, you are the space. And those who approach do so not out of entitlement, but because something deep within them still remembers what it means to stand before something worthy. Number 7, hidden enemies. Fear direct confrontation, because facing you means facing their own cowardice. A lion does not waste his strength chasing flies. A fortress does not tremble at the knocking of beggars. And you do not rattle when whispers swirl, when jealous eyes watch from the shadows, when petty hearts plot from safe distances. You do not even acknowledge them. And that silence, that stillness, that refusal to descend into their chaos terrifies them more than any sword you could draw. They hate you, but they cannot face you. They resent you, but they cannot challenge you head on. Because standing eye to eye with you would demand that they stand eye to eye with their own weakness. And that is a confrontation they are too broken to endure. Instead, they plot in corners. They murmur behind screens. They sharpen petty knives and throw them from behind bushes. Because to attack you openly would expose them to others, but more fatally to themselves. It would tear the thin veil they use to cover their own smallness. Psychologists call this passive aggression, the hallmark of the weak who lack the courage to engage in clean battle. Instead of directness, they leak poison through side glances, through fake smiles, through whispered conspiracies. But none of it touches you. Because you were built for storms, not for squalls. Marcus Aurelius faced betrayal from senators, generals, even family members. His answer was not paranoia nor rage, but a chilling detachment. He wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." You do not mirror their pettiness. You rise so far above it that even their arrows cannot find purchase. Imagine Derek, a 44-year-old entrepreneur from Nevada. As he built his empire, old friends, threatened by his growth, turned into shadows. They spread rumors. They questioned his integrity, but none dared stand before him and speak. Derek knew why. Not because he was brutal, but because he was unshakably whole. Confronting him would have meant confronting the shame of having chosen comfort over conquest. So they attacked from afar, safe in the fog of their own mediocrity. Practical weapon. When you sense hostility without direct confrontation, you do not chase it. You do not corner cowards. You let them rot in the fear they created. You continue to move forward, unbothered, untainted. You speak only when necessary. You strike only when unavoidable. You are not a brawler in a tavern fight. You are the mountain under which empires are crushed. Every moment they spend plotting against you is a moment they are not building themselves. Every slander they spread only widens the chasm between who they are and who you have become. They don't hate you because you hurt them. They hate you because you survived without them, and because your survival throws the mirror of their cowardice back into their own faces. Seneca reminds us, the bravest sight in the world is to see a great man struggling against adversity. You have already struggled. You have already won. Now you exist as a silent, constant accusation against those too weak to even enter the arena. Let them whisper, let them plot, let them tremble behind their masks. You walk openly under the sun, carrying the kind of power that needs no armor, because no blade forged by cowards can pierce a soul tempered by fire. Number 8. When you make a request, it is taken seriously, not through threats, but through quiet nobility. You do not need to raise your voice. You do not need to throw your weight around like a brute, desperate to prove he exists. You do not need to threaten or plead. When you speak, when you ask, when you instruct, it carries the weight of 1,000 unspoken victories. Because your character has already made the case for your authority long before your mouth opened. The weak demand attention through noise. You command it through substance. And so when you make a request, it is not treated as a suggestion to be ignored. It is treated as a directive to be honored. Not out of fear, not out of obligation, but out of deep, instinctive respect. Psychologists studying authority and compliance have consistently found that true influence arises not from domination, but from what they call legitimate power. A form of influence rooted in perceived expertise, consistency, and moral authority. When people feel they are in the presence of someone who lives by their own high standards, who does not flinch, who does not waver, they naturally defer. It is a biological response hardwired into human nature, to recognize and submit to real leadership when it appears. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time talking about what a good man should be one." The moment you cease trying to convince people and start embodying the virtues you expect from others, your words become rare metals, valued, sought after, obeyed. Picture Daniel, a 47-year-old restaurant owner in Chicago. His staff loved him, feared disappointing him, and yet he never once raised his voice. He didn't micromanage, he didn't berate. When he spoke, it was clear, calm, and final. If he asked for a change in a dish, it was made. If he requested a schedule shift, it was done. Not because he held the threat of firing over their heads, but because everyone who worked under him understood. Daniel would never ask for something without reason, and he would never disrespect them in asking it. His requests carried dignity, and therefore they demanded a response in kind. Practical weapon. When you make a request, do it from a place of composed certainty. Speak slowly. Speak clearly. Smile slightly, not out of submission but out of control. Look them in the eye, not with challenge, but with calm expectation. Make it obvious without saying a word. I assume this will be done, not because I am loud, but because I am serious. Never repeat yourself unnecessarily. If someone hesitates, give them the space to either rise or reveal themselves as inadequate. But do not chase, do not beg, and never barter your dignity for compliance. Your seriousness, your consistency, your inner code, these are your true enforcers. Seneca advised, "He who is brave is free." You are free because you do not beg. You are brave because you expect without arrogance and command without cruelty. In a world where orders are barked and ignored daily, your quiet authority strikes differently. It slices through the noise. It makes people pause, adjust, perform. It demands without shouting. It insists without violence. It elevates the very environment around you, forcing even the laziest to measure themselves against a higher standard. You do not need to threaten. You do not need to plead. Your very existence is enough. Your nobility, quiet and immovable, does the heavy lifting. And those who are wise will answer it without hesitation. Not out of fear, but out of something far more powerful. Respect that has been earned, not demanded. Respect that will outlast fear by 1,000 years. Number 9. You force people to reflect on their actions, simply by existing. You do not preach, you do not lecture, you do not point fingers or hurl accusations. You simply exist, solid, silent, unshakable. And that alone becomes a mirror in which others see the grotesque outline of their own mediocrity. Your very presence forces a reckoning they cannot escape. Wherever you go, you carry the quiet judgment of someone who demands nothing from the world, yet stands as if he owns it. And that unsettles people far more than any insult ever could. You have no need to call them out directly. The standards you live by, the battles you fight in silence, the storms you walk through without fanfare. These are the sermons they hear whether they want to or not. In psychology, this effect is called social comparison theory, the subconscious measuring of oneself against another when confronted with clear contrast. Your calm, your mastery, your discipline expose their noise, their weakness, their excuses. They see your restraint and feel the violence of their impulsiveness. They see your sovereignty and feel the weight of their chains. Marcus Aurelius knew this dynamic intimately. He wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." You are dyed deep in discipline, in patience, in quiet force, and when the shallow encounter you, it stains them. It forces their flimsy self-image to crack at the seams. Picture Kyle, a 36-year-old financial advisor in New York. He never corrected his clients when they bragged about reckless purchases. He never mocked his colleagues who spent weekends lost in drunken self-congratulation. He simply lived differently, frugal, measured, patient. Over time, the contrast gnawed at the others. Without ever saying a word, Kyle became the invisible standard. Some resented him, some quietly changed, but none could ignore the growing realization, if Kyle can live like that, why can't I? Practical weapon, live your principles ruthlessly and silently. When others boast, smile gently but offer nothing. When they gossip, let your silence be louder than their words. When they fish for validation, respond with calm neutrality. You do not need to battle them. You are not their opponent. You are the wall their own shallowness crashes into. And understand this, some will hate you for it. They will invent reasons why your stillness is arrogance. They will accuse your discipline of being fake or luck. They will mock what they cannot match. Let them. Their anger is a confession. Their resentment is a surrender. Seneca taught, "Virtue is nothing else than right reason." You are not here to correct fools or comfort the insecure. You are here to embody right reason, to live so starkly, so vividly, so uncompromisingly that your life forces a choice upon everyone you meet, rise or rot. You will never hear most of the impact you make. They will never admit, even to themselves, how much your mere presence forced them to see what they had been trying to forget. But know this, every time you stand still, while others drown in their own noise, you become the unspoken challenge that echoes in the corners of their minds long after you are gone. You do not attack, you do not argue, you exist. And in doing so, you force the world to face the part of itself it would rather leave buried. Conclusion: you were never meant to fit in. You were never designed to be another trembling voice in the chorus of the desperate, begging for attention, validation, or approval. You were built for the quiet war, the invisible conquest, the kind of victory that needs no witnesses. In a world addicted to noise, your silence is an act of rebellion. In a world obsessed with spectacle, your restraint is an act of terror. They will not understand you. They will whisper that you are cold, arrogant, detached. Let them. Their confusion is the tax you pay for living beyond their reach. Every step you take in silence leaves an earthquake they cannot explain. Every time you refuse to speak when others would scream, you forge a reputation that no amount of self-promotion could ever buy. You don't intimidate because you are loud. You intimidate because you are unmoved. You don't inspire respect because you demand it. You inspire respect because you don't need it. And the ones who feel it most are the ones who will never admit it. They will chatter louder. They will fake harder. They will spin the empty wheels of their lives faster and faster, hoping you will look back, hoping you will acknowledge them, hoping to steal even a flicker of the gravity you carry without effort. But you won't. Because you are already gone, already ascended, already living in a place their noise can never reach. You are not of the crowd anymore. You are the storm they fear at the edge of every gathering, the silent judgment behind every mirror, the reminder that there are still men who build themselves without asking for permission. If these words struck something deep inside you, something you recognize but can barely speak, then it's time to act. Subscribe to Victory Stoic right now. Like this video if you are committed to the path of silence, mastery, and relentless sovereignty. Share it with someone who needs to be reminded that true power doesn't scream, it simply is. And in the comments below, plant your standard. Write, "I rule in silence." Make it your oath. Or if you carry the scars and the wisdom of a man who chose the harder road, share your story. Share the battles you fought without fanfare. Share the victories no one clapped for but you still bled for. There are others walking this road. You are not alone. Thank you for listening. Thank you for choosing discipline over noise, mastery over spectacle, soul over surface. Remember, they will laugh at your silence until they realize they are speaking to their own fear. They will mock your restraint until they see their own chaos reflected in your calm. And by then, you will already be too far beyond their reach to hear them. Silence is your sword. Stillness is your shield. Walk forward and let the earth tremble behind you.